Welcome back. My name's Newman. This is my life with plants. It's 5:20 in the morning. According to this, it's over 30 degrees. It's about 29 degrees, which is about 85 Fahrenheit, and the humidity is right up there, right up in the close to the 80s. It's very, very humid, very hot. So, Cattleya. Let's start off with this Cattleya here. This is a Cattleya Little Toshie Soliel. I'm just squeezing these pseudo bulbs is just a test for rot. There has only been one cane. It was an old one and it had rotted. But what's good about this year is I haven't got any more burning. Like that leaf there, see? That was from last year. So this has got plenty of new growth. It's got this one and then here. And one growth there, one there. We just tag to another position. I'm going to growth there and one in there. And plus, it is also starting to throw out new growth again. It's right there where my finger's pointing. There's one. Pretty sure there's more. So this is doing much better now. I'm pretty happy about it. It has a yellow flower with a red center. It's fragrant. And it survived because I lost a lot. I lost a lot of Cattleyas, thanks to how poor and health they were when I couldn't get them back on the road. So they all died and I lost them all, which is about three beautiful Cattleya. There's nothing I could do to make them better. Alright. To go through the rigmarole of putting up Cattleya, sorry. This one here. This one is a nice full one, as you can see. And this one I bought many years ago, probably going on 7 years. I mean, look how big that is. Look. It's absolutely covered in canes growing off it, and this one was also not in good health when I purchased it. Its name is, let's see, Baby something, and it's a hybrid Cattleya, mini Cattleya, and yeah, it was in very bad health, and I repotted it into this bark and pumice many years ago. It's still been in this pot for 5 years. As I was talking about, if you water them with the correct water and you make sure that your pH isn't going out of balance then you're able to just keep them in the same pot. There's no reason why you should be repotting them all the time. So this year it's, well, from the winter it's been putting out all these new growths. We've got one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. So it's bound to flower a lot, which is exciting. It usually flowers late summer, early autumn. It gets a bit cooler. Let me just move this a little bit. Okay. This is not a cattleya, it's a this is Dendrobium Napori Tomoflake Napori. It's been growing these new canes. Got one here, and we got another, and also got one here. Yeah, I can hear those beetles buzzing around. Yes, so this is what it already had, right? And these are the new canes. So it's a matter of growing them to their full potential. Every now and then I'll get a Dendrobium that's got the rots. Who knows why they do it? I don't know why. This is an Epicatleya. I can't remember the name exactly, but it has this new cane growing here. Let's move this a bit more. A little bit more. Okay. This is an Epicatleya. So it's put out this new cane. It's really healthy and growing. No other ones yet. I purchased this for a good price. Unfortunately not fragrant, but growing. Actually loves this horrible humid heat within the 85% shade cloth underneath it. Seems to be doing fine. Yeah, okay. What else? Surprisingly, something that suffers with high humidity and heat that you guys probably never knew about, Dendrobium kingianum. It's not always a fan of the higher temperatures. In actual fact, I don't know what to do this winter. Do I keep it out again? Or do I bring it in? Because I kept it outside, and it got a bit of a hard time with those real minus temperatures. What I'm doing is I'm just feeling the canes. So they seem to feel fine. The other day they got an application of dolomite lime, and that is to counterbalance the fact that they get fertilizers and it gets very salty in there, acidic, and the dolomite lime helps to neutralize any acidity building up, because they don't want it to get too acidic. Plus, dolomite lime has magnesium and stuff in it. And over here you can see the new growths. One there, Got one here. I just hope they keep growing and mature into nice big canes. And there. All these new growths coming away there. And inside there too. So hopefully this keeps growing and matures those canes. Something that showed some stress is this Maxillaria variabilis. You see here that it's got a black bulb. But these older bulbs are fine. I'm trying to follow what my friend does, and she has hers pretty wet actually, sitting in the shade. It seems to have stalled a bit with its growth. It's come to a halt. So definitely a lot of orchids do not like the continuous temperatures that are getting up to 35 to 37, which is 95 to 100 Fahrenheit, and they don't like it. That's why I've been opting for hanging under trees. This is a min gold Cattleya hybrid with some other RTH young min gold. It just hangs on. It doesn't explode into growth either. I suspect that it was in desperate need of that gypsum. Oh, sorry, dolomite lime. That's what it was waiting for, definitely. It does have this new growth here. Just taking a look around it. Hopefully it'll be fine and keep growing, because it did have some nice flowers not long ago. Hopefully it's fine, it's not going to die or something. Little tiny plant, Epidendrum porpex, variety alba. It's not always good when you knock your plant and it drops leaves like that. So far so good. I want to make a cutting off this and mount it. So this one has been subject to these high temperatures too, within the 85% shade cloth. The sun doesn't reach half of this enclosure here. It doesn't quite get in there, but it will, and during this month it will start reaching in. That time they're going to get more stress than I would like. I'm probably going to hang this one up in a different position actually. So I don't want it getting in that heat. Next one, Biffineria. I think Biffineria is fine. Doesn't seem to mind the heat. It's in a position where it gets more heat than any of the orchids in this area here. It has this nice new growth coming out. So Biffineria is definitely something that, with the shade cloth that it has and all of this heat, it doesn't seem to mind it one bit. There's no sign of bulbs that are getting squishy or anything like that, and it still looks healthy. So Biffineria Tyranniana is something that will do well in the heat in the tropics. While I'm looking, I don't want to be shocked by something. No more shocks. Okay, this one is Epicatlia Kyoguchi Happy Field. And these bulbs are lovely and plump. Here's a nice new growth coming away here. Hopefully I haven't how soft the root's supposed to be is the question. That's the thing with sphagnum moss. It gets sour pretty quick, so you got to be careful. In actual fact, when you're growing in sphagnum moss, you can let the stuff dry out before you water it again. This root here doesn't seem to have any activity in it. I have no idea how many roots are actually growing in here. I have no idea unless I disturbed it and unpotted it. But for the most part it looks healthy, but there could be a deception. This is definitely growing. It's on the outside of the pot. Some of these other roots, I don't know how they are doing. Yeah. This new growth has been coming away fine. I'm hoping that at one time it's going to start pushing roots out, but I don't know when. Yes, we could be picking and poking away at it forever. I was just looking at one root here and it's green, just the tip of it's not growing anything. That's when you need your new growth. You really need that new growth to push out roots. But this one is the newest growth besides that cane there. Oh, is it growing or not? I don't know for sure. This is Duckrilla linguiforme. So we know this is on a mount, and we know this is going to dry out in between waterings for sure. It's actually put a new growth out. Right there, I'm pointing with my finger. So it looks like I'm not going to have any problems with linguiforme. I will give it some water before the day starts. Okay, next. This one was shriveling like anything, so I've kept the moss pretty damp. Liptotes bicolor, and the stems are really hard and juicy, and it has put out one new growth here and one there. You'll see one inside there too. Appears to be fine and growing. And a lot of the growth that was on this side has actually fallen or died off, but this is still healthy. So I noticed that it plumped up after it got more water. So it appears that we have a colony of moss growing. I can see it. It's starting to spore. And guess what? The moss only grows when you use tap water, because it's void of minerals, those heavy minerals like calcium and the mineral salts. It doesn't really carry them through the municipal water supply, and the moss seems to like it. So I'm not fertilizing as much as I used to. I think it's necessary with orchids. I think we give a very bare minimal nutrients. I think you've got to be careful with your fertilizer. You can just burn the roots, and then not only is the heat a problem during the summer, but your fertilizing can just finish them off, and it makes your sphagnum moss acidic. So looking at this one, it's a Dynema polybourbon. It's an epidendrum, and this one has nice healthy roots that are trying to go into the medium, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's got a lot of new growths. Alright, so this one has been watered with the tap water. Faucet water. And just take it easy with the fertilizer, not to forget. Don't forget that sphagnum moss will trap a lot of salts from your fertilizer. So the orchid needs to use that too. So make sure that your water is just clean. Doesn't have any heavy minerals in it all the time. They don't need it. They get very, very sparingly receive these essential minerals, and so you got to use dolomite lime to keep your moss healthy and alive. And if you see spores growing like I am, see some spores growing of moss, then you've hit the jackpot. If your moss is not, if it doesn't have spores on it and it's growing, then there's something wrong. It's most likely that you are giving fertilizer, even in very small quantities. It's every time you water, you're building it up in the mix. And that is a sure killer. And I know that because I had a maxillaria that died from it. Almost. Cattleya lindii. So this already has fertilizer in it, and it doesn't have any spores of moss growing yet, so that tells me that the mix is still a little acidy, and probably the color of it too. The moss is pretty dark, so it's holding salts. So definitely the seller had put slow release, and I cleared out just about all of it and left something like 5 or 6 little ones. Because I know from experience, when you have fertilizer salts build up, it's bye-bye orchid, and no return. And ironically, they need magnesium and calcium and things like that, but they need it in very small supply. Very small. Tiny, tiny bits. Even this got a sprinkle of dolomite lime. And it has all sorts of neat things growing on it. It needs a water. Well, Bulbophyllum ambrosia. I was pretty excited about getting that. Ambrosia has a cane here that's kind of dark. Could be normal. I wouldn't say that it's thriving, but it is holding on. That's the thing with growing plants, is that if you see things that look dark patches on bulbs and stuff, it makes you start wondering. But that's pretty soft too. It's a little dehydrated. Definitely need a hose this evening. Orchids have been getting so much water lately. I've been backing off a little bit more because I've got more overcast weather. This one is Bulbophyllum japonicum, and as the name says, it's from Japan. It's got a new growth coming out right there. And if there is some more, I won't see it, because I need glasses. It's doing fine. I did the right thing and I mounted this one up straight away. Here's interesting Bulbophyllum, tiny little inflorescence but in profusion. So quite beautiful flowers actually, and once this gets growing, it'll cover this whole mount with its bulbs. It'll form a nice mat over the whole thing, which I'm looking forward to. So that's native to this area of Japan, high altitude of course, all the way down to the south. Let's see. Let's look at something large. Dendrobium speciosum X gracilicol. Bring it deck back down for you guys to see this new growth coming right here. You can see it right here. I just lifted it up. I was just seeing if roots coming out the bottom or not. Can you see this bar? Look, can you see that? There's a hole in the pot there, and a hole there. This is Jimmy's idea. He's lives in Spain. He's Spanish, of course, and he grows on his balcony, and this is his idea he had, and I think it's pretty neat. You get a nice thick steel orchid flower support, and you punch a hole each side of the pot, and then you thread it through, and it puts pressure down on the orchid to hold it down steady, so it grows its roots without being knocked around. It's a pretty handy, quick and easy and no problem idea, holding your pots, orchids in their pots. So it has a new growth, so it must be happy. Fortunately, it has been getting a lot of water, but oh well. How can I avoid everything, right? How can I? I cannot. Trying to do my best here in my climate. 25 meters above sea level. Think about it. If I was at least 300, then I'll be a bit more comfortable. Alright, this is Tenuifolia, Nexillaria tenuifolia, and it's been in a pretty damp to wet moss, because that's how my friend's been growing them and they've been thriving. It's put growth out during the winter, but it's stopped. It hasn't grown anymore, but it hasn't shriveled, and it hasn't done anything that would make me panic and think, oh no, it's going downhill. Yes, last summer it was very, very wrinkled. It was growing in bark and pumice, but no matter how much I watered it, it was severely dehydrated. And then it would just slightly plump up, but it wouldn't grow. So this year it's plumper, greener, and I don't think it likes temperatures like this, 35 to 37. I don't think it likes it, and that's why it's not growing. But it should resume growth once the temperatures are no more than a max of 85 Fahrenheit. It's got nice green leaves, and it did flower. It had 4 flowers. I mean, pretty good, but not much. Oh well. It can only get better after time. I've got to pull everything up so that you guys can see. But also, I'm just going to put a few back because I've got to make space so that I can show you a few more. So let me do that. I'll just put this one up here. There. As much as I like showing, I like to ensure that my orchids are put back away safely, because I can't trust myself these days, if you know what I mean. If somebody says something or I get distracted, then I'm liable just to absolutely forget what the heck I was doing. It could be just left out there. I've done that before. I've been distracted and to do something else, and then I've just completely forgotten what the heck I was doing before, and plants have been left out. Got nice and toasted. What a disappointment. What a shock after all that work, right? So that you learn these things. You learn that when I do something, I put it away straight away. This one goes over here. There. And this one must be Dendrobium. It was only $5. It's here. Okay. Let's have a peeky. I always forget the name of this. It's a grass orchid. A lot of growers grow this in Florida. Stephen Van Camp and Lewis, I think, has this one too. There's these two new growths, finally, that have been growing steadily but surely. And it's pretty tall. It's got this cakey growing up the side of it. It hasn't flowered yet, but it never seems to suffer, no matter what. No matter how hot it gets, it seems to be fine all the time. And I did give it the animal pellet or dung, chicken dung manure, which is the safest way to fertilize your orchids because it doesn't burn the roots whatsoever. It's very safe. It provides nutrients, trace elements, and you know, even has magnesium and calcium and phosphorus, potassium, nitrogen. Plenty of nitrogen. So that one is looking good. It hasn't flowered yet, but I like it. I like anything that's hardy. At least you know it'll survive, right? It's not going to die on you. Okay. If you're worried about overwatering Cattleyas, then don't worry anymore. Look at the size of this. Gotta push it right back, look. It's way bigger than the previous growth, and that is growing in bark and pumice, and it's been getting a lot of water. Drying out slightly in between, but not totally, right? It's still quite moist in there. And I am aware of Cattleya problems, that's why I gave it the dolomite lime every 3 months. This one I've shown before, Cattleya beringiana. It's Rooty, he's got stressed out. What I'm doing is I'm just squeezing them because I learn through touch, just like anybody would. Spongy can mean anything, that it's still retaining water or whatever. So the growing tips are kind of a little dark. What does that mean? Whenever you see something that's not normal, you just gotta have a think, okay? Have a think about it. I'm thinking. Okay, all that water that they've been giving, and been giving them, right? Because they need it. That's the moss. It's got to be the moss getting acidic. Now I've put the dolomite lime in, it should be fine. And do I have any moss growing in there? Not yet. Okay, so that's the second sign. No moss growing in there. No live moss. Okay, so that's getting a bit acidic. But no problem, it's a hardy orchid. It should be fine. Let's put out this new growth, see that? This is its new cane, and boy, has it been getting a lot of water or what? This Boringiana has been getting a lot of water, and it grows that this bottom portion of it is in complete shade. Now that August has come around, the sun is getting in there. Okay. Diagnosis. Acidity. Done. Take a note of. Lycast. It's not Aromatica. It's some other one that has huge bowls. So this is actually small. You can have bowls like twice the size of that. But the new growth is looking great. Look. There's not a blemish really. Right? It's pretty neat. And this one, according to Andy's Orchids, he's really, you could call him an expert on culture expert. He keeps his nice and wet, like they're in a very wet jungle, because a lot of them grow down towards the bottom of trees or underneath them in rotting leaf litter. So I'm not afraid to keep this one pretty well watered. In actual fact, it never dries out. And as it matures its bulb, all of this will get yellow and tatty and blackened. It'll get all blackened and tatty and ruined looking, but that's fine, don't cut them off. They still have their purpose, and that's to get essential sugars and everything from the sunlight to build into their bulb. So never cut them off. Let them fall off naturally, even if they look tatty. That's their job. These leaves have a job to do, and that's not to please the owner, because they want to look at its beauty. Its purpose is to build up sugars and vitamins and food and store it in their bulbs. Yes, but for the meantime we can enjoy the beauty of Lycast. And Lycast is in the shade. It likes to stay there. I don't want to move this big thing. I'm just going to have a sneaky peek. But you can see a nice new bulb coming away there. And there's probably more going on. There's a new growth coming up there. See? This one has a flower spike. It has a few blemishes, but what do you know? It'll be fine. And this is a lot of Laelia in its ancestry. It's crossed with Cattleya. It's called Blue Heaven. If you want to check that out, Blue Heaven. It is fast growing, tough, very tough. All of these leaves are subject to almost 100% full sun last year. I had it in another position that was up where those baskets are. So man, I got a lot of sun, but this year I've opted for the stippled light. Just as hot, just as muggy, but dappled, and I'm just liking it here a lot. It's got a lot of nice growth. I keep an eye on the roots, because a telltale sign of your medium going bad is when the roots don't want to go into it anymore. So I guess a good sign is if you're looking at your orchid like this one, I can't find any coming out of the medium. It's probably nice. It's nice and sweet. And it's not acidy. But when they're all climbing out of it and they're not going in it, you got a acidity problem or alkaline. One or the other, and you got to adjust it. These dendrobiums have been growing really well, and I did pull them out the other day to check. This one here, you can see the flowers that it has. It's been doing really well. I know one thing, once your dendrobium has succumbed to a lot of neglect, then you were going to have a hard time bringing it back to health. A hard time. Even, going by how rigid and firm and solid a lot of orchids are, sometimes they surprise me that they're not tougher than that. I just notice that dendrobiums, once they shrivel and get weak, even when they put out new canes, they just rot. But there is one that defies the laws, and it is Dendrobium Gutton Sunray. I'm just going to have a peek at this. Can you see these two new growths? Here they are, because this thing was just a shriveled up nothing. No leaves, nothing. It even flowered out of this dead thing. It flowered out of it, and it had no roots whatsoever, nothing. No roots to support it. It flowered pretty wonderfully, actually, with no leaves, no roots, nothing. How did it do it? I have no idea. It had no roots on it, nothing. And it flowered last year, it didn't grow at all. And then all of that stress, I had it down there and I was about to throw it out, and you had the air conditioner doing its thing, right? Pounding hot air on it. And it was dry as a bone. It's been dry for, well, it had been inside dry for like 4 months, and it got like a little trickle of water, nothing to even make the hardiest of weeds come back to life. And then what do you know, it had 2 nubbins that were growing out of it, because I had taken it out of the pot to make sure that the thing was worthy of throwing away, if you could call it that. But I'm reluctant to throw anything away, so I had a full inspection. I found 2 nubbins on it and got a shock. So I know that thing is the toughest orchid I know. Even tougher than Dendrobium kingianum. It's that tough. So it's pretty amazing. Just thought I'd share that with you. You want something that you have no worry about it dying at all, then get Gutton Sunray. you'll be rest assured that it'll never die on you. It'll look like it did. And here's the irony of things. You can say that about an orchid, and then somebody will buy the same one, and then theirs dies, and then they don't believe what the other person told them. Think it's a complete lie. No, that didn't happen. It was weak and it died on me. What are you talking about? Orchids are just like people and any other plant in the whole world. You can get one and another. They're not entirely the same. They all share a lot of genetic similarities, but they can have differences. And the difference can be a good thing or a bad thing. So, don't forget that. Somebody's telling you about how hardy this orchid is, or how beautiful it flowers, and then you buy the same one and it's not doing it. You probably just got a seedling that grew and it just didn't grow into what it's supposed to grow into. It was just weak to start with. So that you don't go wrong, you can get divisions of friends, especially ones that just have their orchids just growing out without much cover or anything, and they're getting very little care, and they're growing magnificent, and you think, that is a healthy, hardy orchid. Or I like to look in my neighborhood, see what they're growing, right? As you can probably guess, I'm doing what every other orchid enthusiast suffers from, and that's lack of space. You're scrambling around moving your orchids. We can just fit it there. Yeah. Space is up. Okay, we'll go there. If Lightcast didn't have such huge leaves, right? I think that one can fit there. That's all I can do is fit things together. And then when I look on the internet and I see something I want, then I pray that I get distracted, so I forget all about it. Just not going to have anywhere to put them unless I put them under the trees in the garden. Okay, all back. Thanks for watching. This is an update on my orchids. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions that help you with yours, let me know. And until next time, see you later. Bye.